Hey builders and welcome back. Today we are diving into something super exciting from Coinbase Java platform, the brand new Swap API. If you ever wanted to integrate token for token swaps directly into applications, this video is for you. The Swap API lets you tap into deep liquidity across major decentralized exchanges all through a simple and powerful interface. In this tutorial, we'll build a complete hands-on demo. We'll focus on the recommended all-in-one method to swap WETH for USDC on Base Mainnet. Let's get swapping. Extreme caution. This demo uses base mainnet and involves real funds. You will be transacting with real assets. Please double check everything and only proceed if you're comfortable and know what you're doing. So first, let's get our project setup ready. So we'll be using a Node.js configuration with TypeScript and we'll be building a script which would demonstrate the new Swap API's functionality. So I'm already on my terminal over here. So first of all, I'll create a new folder, CDP swap API tutorial, something like that. I'll just navigate to this folder also. Once that is done, let's initialize a new Node.js project using the command npm init-y. And you this will create a new package.json configuration as well. Once that is done, we'll install all of the dependencies that would be required for this project. So I already have them over here. So we have the most important dependency for this project, that would be the Coinbase CDP SDK. So this is the main CDP backend SDK. So this handles all of the wallet API v2 configurations and the new Swap API configurations as well. So we'll be using various methods from this new SDK and we'll be building the script around this SDK. And next we have .env for managing environment variables and VM for various utilities to interact with the blockchain. So I just click enter. Once that is done, we'll install the dev dependencies like the TypeScript packages and the various type configuration packages as well. So now let's install the dev dependencies. I have them over here. So first of all, we have TypeScript, TS node, and then types node that we discussed before. So I'll hit enter. Once that is done, we will initialize a new TypeScript configuration as well. So we'll be creating a new TS configuration as well. So the command for that would be npx tsleave / init. So this creates a new ts configuration.json as well. So once that is done, we are done with the main project setup. Now we have to just create some folders and the main file where all of the logic would reside for our new swap script. So now let's finish up our project setup. So I'm already on my preferred IDE here. So it's VS Code with some AI extensions. So I will create a new folder first, which would be the SRC folder, and in that I'll create a very simple swap.ts file. So this would be the TypeScript file where all of our project logic would reside. Once that is done, let's set up our environment variables as well. So I'll create a .env.example to show you how the basic template looks like. So here, we'll have the three main environment variables, which you can get all from the Coinbase Developer Platform console. So we have the CDP key, API key ID, CDP API key secret, and CDP wallet secret. So these are the main three environment variables that you would need to initialize the CDP SDK in your project and use it for various purposes like handling the wallets, using the Swap API, and various other things. So you can find all of these environment variables in the Coinbase Developer Platform console. So you can just get started over there, create a new account and get the environment variables from there. So you can get these credentials from the developer platform console and try some testing out yourself as well. So once that is done, now we can move on to our main swap.ts file and build the logic for our script. And let's get started with building the logic for our swap.ts file over here. So first of all, we'll start with the imports. So I already have the imports over here. Let's go through this one by one and see how it works. Before that, I wanted to give you a small overview of how this swap script would look like. So this tutorial would demonstrate the CDP SDK token swap functionality. It shows the recommended all-in-one pattern in action, while approach 2 will be included for reference but commented out. So we will still show you the approach 2 and show you how it works and everything. So basically approach 2 gives you more advanced control and gives you more desired control over your swap transactions. So you can use the approach to if you want more advanced control over your transactions. So now that's clear. Let's go through our inputs one by one and see how they work. So first of all, we will have a environment variable configuration. So import.env config. Next, we have a CDP client import from Coinbase CDP SDK. So this would allow us to initialize the Coinbase CDP SDK in a script. Next, we have the various utilities from VM. So we have utilities like pass units, create public client, ERC20 AVI, HTTP, format units, and various other inputs. So this imports would allow us for transaction monitoring and transaction formatting. Next, we have the base configuration import from VM chains. So once imports are done, now let's move on to initializing the various constants that would be required for the script and initializing the CDP SDK as well. So I already have the code over here. Let's go through it once and see how it works. So first of all, we have the network configurations. So we'll be doing all of the transactions on base mainnet. Then just a small note over here. The Swap API currently only supports the base and Ethereum mainnets. Later, more network compatibility would be added, but for now, only base and Ethereum mainnets are supported. So just keep note of that and make sure that you are transacting either on base or Ethereum networks for now. Next, we'll create a VM public client for transaction monitoring. So we'll create a simple public client using the import over here, and it would be on chain base and transport would be HTTP. Next, we would set up the token definitions for this example. So we'll be using the base mainnet token addresses. So first of all, we have the weth configuration. We have the address, the symbol, the decimals, and is native asset. So this is not a native asset, so false. Next, we have USDC. So we have the address, symbol, decimals, and is native asset for that as well. Next, we have the permit to contract address. So what is this permit to contract address? So this is basically a contract from Uniswap, and it manages token permissions for your tokens. So basically it would handle all of the approvals and the various token permissions for the tokens that you're swapping. So if I try to search this address on Basecamp and hit enter, so you will find the nail tag of Uniswap v3 permit 2. So this handles all of the token permissions. And the main thing to note over here is that this address is same across all networks. So if you're transacting on any EVM network, this particular address would always be same. So now that we are done with the constants for this script, now let's move on to initializing the main function for the script. So this main function would be demonstrating the token swaps, and it would be managing token allowances and doing some console logs as well. So first of all, make sure you're initializing a CDP client using const CDP new CDP client. It's just a single line, as simple as that. Next, we would have the main function demonstrating token swap. So as we have discussed before, this would use the recommended all-in-one swap pattern, but the approach to will also be included in the code, but it would be commented out during execution. So, first, let's start with the first part for the main function. I already have the code over here. Let's go through it and see how it works. So, yeah. So first of all, we have some console logs. So we'll just do some normal console logs over here. So we are doing this console logs only for tutorial purposes. So that we can see each and every step for this swap process. Next, we would use the get or create account method to use for the swap. So we will be using the cdp.evm.get or create account, and we'll use something like the name swap tutorial account, and we will console log the account address. Next, we'll define the tokens and the amount. So the from tokens would be tokens.weth. The two tokens will be USDC. So basically, we will be swapping weth to USDC. Swap amount would be something like 0.004, a very small amount. So this would equal to around $1. So we will be using a very small amount of weth over here for only for demo purposes. And the from amount would be pass units, swap account, and from token dot decimals. So once that is done, we will be calling the various functions that could do the token allowances and execute the swap. So now let's finish up this main function. I already have the rest of the code over here. So then we'll do a normal console log planning to swap this to this for the token dot symbol. And next we'll handle the token allowances, and we'll be using the recommended all-in-one swap pattern. So in the try catch block, we'll first handle token allowances required for ERC20 tokens. So for all ERC20 tokens, you would need these token allowances. So basically, it would allow the contracts to spend the tokens on your behalf. So we'll be using handle token allowance function, which we would be defining later. So the parameters would be account dot address, from token dot address, and from token dot symbol, and the from amount. So basically the various parameters for the from token. Next, we would execute the approach one, the recommended all-in-one pattern, by calling the demonstrate approach one method. So we have named this accordingly for the tutorial and demo purposes. And this would take parameters like the account, from token, to token, and the from amount. And next, we would also be including the approach to a line of code as well, but this will be commented out as discussed before. And we'll be using the console log as well, to like just keep a small note, like check the code to see approach to. Again, this is only for educational purposes. We want you to make sure that you know all of the approaches for this web API, and you can use any that you want for your code. So again, here the parameters are same. So the parameters for both the functions would be same. It's just that for approach tool, you get more advanced control over your swap transactions. Now that we are done with the initialization of our main function, now let's move on to our other functions, which would be handling the swaps and the various other utility functions like handling token allowances. So first of all, we'll be completing the demonstrate approach one function. So the approach one would be the all-in-one pattern, which would be the recommended pattern for swap APIs. And this is the approach we are executing. So this would be a single function call with automatic code creation and execution. So you don't need to handle any of this. All of this would be handled by the CDP SDK. And there is built-in error handling by the CDP SDK as well. And this is best for almost all use cases. So almost 90 to 95% of use cases are covered by this approach itself, where you have to just write 5 lines of code to create an automatic swap code. So we'll first of all define the demonstrate approach one function. And these are the various parameters that we already discussed before in the main function. So we have account, from token, to token, and from amount. So, and we would define the various types as well for these parameters. Next, we'll start building our function. So this would use the all-in-one pattern. So let's get started with that. So this would be the first few lines of code. So first of all, we have some console logs. So like normal console logs. So this approach handles everything in a single call. Next, we'll create a try catch block. And in this, first of all, we'll create a normal console log to like show in the console that this is the functions that are executing. And this is the magic. One function called does it all. So basically, with just 5 lines of code, you can create any swap codes, and you can swap any token just using this 5 lines of code. So basically, you can use the account.swap method. So this is an inbuilt method in the Coinbase CDP SDK, and you can directly use this swap method, and you don't need to handle anything. All of things and all of the parameters are handled by Coinbase CDP SDK. In the swap, there are some parameters that you need to provide, like the network, the from token, the to token, the from amount, and the slippage. So basically, when you are doing swaps, there is a small amount of slippage that is involved. This is because of primary reasons like the cryptocurrency markets being very volatile. So every second you can see some changes in the prices of these tokens. So there is always some slippage involved, but here we are keeping the maximum slippage to 1%. So not more than 1% of loss should be involved over here, or not more than 1% of difference. Once that is done, we are done with the main swap function. We would be just doing some console logs, and we'll be using the VM client utility functions over here. So basically, we'll be waiting for the transaction receipt. So we can use that transaction receipt to like verify these transactions. So we'll be using const receipt, public client dot wait for transaction receipt, and the hash would be the result dot transaction hash. So one of the parameters of this output would be transaction hash, which you can directly use to verify this transaction. Next, let's finish off this function by adding the catch block as well. So we'll add the catch block over here. So we'll do some console logs so that we can get the transaction hash and the transaction link as well, so that we can personally verify this transaction and see if it worked or not. And next we would be completing the cache block as well, where we would be adding some like specific error messages as well, like insufficient liquidity or insufficient balance or something like that. So you can add more specific error handling over here as well. But for demo purposes, we'll be only sticking to this specific error handling. Apart from that, any other else errors would show a normal error itself. So we are done with the main demonstrate approach one function over here. So this would be using the all-in-one pattern approach. Now let's complete other functions like the utility functions for allowances, and also approach to function to show how the approach to works, and then the script would be done. So now let's move on to the utility functions like handling the token allowances. And once that is done, we'll move to our last function where we would be explaining the approach to of SAT API. So I already have the first function over here. So this is the handle token allowance function. So basically this would handle the token allowance check and approval if needed. So the various parameters for this would be the owner address, the token symbol, and the from amount. So first of all, we'll check the allowance before attempting the swap. So we'll be creating another get allowance method. So that would check the allowance, and we would check the overall allowance before attempting the swap. Next, if the allowance is insufficient, we will approve the tokens. So we will do a normal if check over here. And if during this if check the allowance is insufficient, we'll approve the tokens. So the next function would be to set the allowance to the required amount. So we would be creating another function which would be the approve token allowance. And in this, we would be using the permit to address that we discussed before. So once that is done, we set the allowance, we do a normal console log, and also we create another else block where we just do a normal token console log with a token allowance insufficient log. So that's our first utility function. Now we have our rest two functions over here as well. So we'll complete this and then we can move to the final function. Now let's move on to our next utility function, approve token allowance. So I already have the code over here. Let's go through this one by one and see how it works. So first of all, we'll define the function with the owner address, the token address, the spender address, and the amount. So this will handle the approval for token allowance if needed. Next, we do some console logs so that we get the information from the logs like, okay, the token allowance is being approved. All these logs are only for education purposes. When you're working in production, you don't need to do these console logs. You just want to make sure that you can see through each and every step and see how all of the swap functionalities work. Next, we encode the approve function call. So as this approve function call is a direct contract call, we need to encode this function data properly so that we can pass this function call to the contract and the contract is able to pass it and execute the functions. So we use the encode function data method with the API, the function name, and the arguments. Next, so basically we will be using the ERC20 API to call the approve function. So basically a direct contract call. Next, we send the approve function. So we use the cdp.evm.send transaction method. So apart from the swap API, the wallet version 2 has a lot of utilities like sending wallet transactions and various other utilities like that. So we'll be using the cdp evm.send transaction method, which automatically signs the EVM transaction and sends it to the network. So the parameters would be address, network, and the various transaction parameters like the two token address, data, and the value begin. So here data would be the encoded function call. Next, we just console log this and we wait for the approved transaction to be confirmed. So we'll use a basic const received variable and we'll await for the transaction receipt using the wait for transaction receipt method from VN. After that, we just do a normal console log and return the receipt, which can be used for various other swap transactions. Now let's move on to a final utility function in the allowance to check if the allowance is properly set or not. So I already have the code over here. So let's go through it and see how it works. So basically this would check the token allowance for the permit to contract that we defined before. So first of all, we'll define the function like owner, token, symbol would be the various parameters for this get allowance function. And next we just do a normal console log and basically we will do a read contract method for the permit to contract. So basically we will be reading from the contract which is deployed on the base mainnet. So we can use a public client.read contract method. So we'll be using VM utilities to read the contract. And in this, the various parameters would be the address. So the token address, the ABI would be ERC20 ABI. Function name would be allowance. So we need to check the allowance for the particular token. And the arguments would be owner and the permit to address. So basically, we need to check if the permit to address has enough allowance or not. Next, we do a console log is what's the current allowance and return the allowance variable. And next, we complete the catch block. And if there are any errors, it will just return a big and zero. So that's it with the utility functions. Now we can move on to the final function where we discuss the second approach for Swap API and complete the script by calling the main function. So now we are done with the functions that we would be required for this main script, and we could now test the script as well. But before that, let's discuss the approach to that we mentioned before, the create then execute pattern. So we will be creating this function only for education and demo purposes so that you get to know more about the create then execute pattern. So basically, this is an advanced pattern that allows you more control over the swap process. So basically, here the swap process would be executed in three main steps where we first port the swap, check for liquidity, and then move on to the other processes. So this approach is shown here to demonstrate the advanced pattern. So first create a code to inspect the details, then execute swap, and this allows for more control for complex scenarios. So, but in production, approach one is recommended for 90% of use cases. Only if you want very advanced control over your swap codes and swap transactions, you can go for this route as well. But in production, approach one is all good for almost all of the use cases. So now let's go initialize the function and see how all of the function looks like with all of the three steps. So first, let's start it with the step one for this function. So I already have the step one over here. So first of all, we'll create the swap code. So before that, we'll do some console logs like, okay, this function is starting and this would execute the create then execute pattern. So in this, we would have the first try catch block where the step one would be to create the swap code. So in this, we would be using the account.code swap method. So basically, this is the method which creates the swap code in the second approach. And this has all of the same parameters like the swap function that we use in the approach one. So we would have the network, the from token, the to token, the amount, the from amount, and the slippage. So here also we'll keep the slippage tolerance to 1%. Now that we are done with the step one, we'll move on to step two, where we will be checking the liquidity. So now let's move on to the further steps. So next step would be to check if the liquidity is available. So what we do is that we use the swap code output parameter. So we use the swap code dot liquidity available parameter to check if the liquidity is available or not. And if it's not, basically by this exclamation mark, we check. And if it's not, we just do a normal console log. Okay, insufficient liquidity for the swap pair amount and return this function. After that, we would have the step three. So if this parameter and this if function passes, we move to the next step. So in this step three, we inspect the swap details before execution. So as you can see, in each step, we get more advanced control over the swap parameters and the swap transactions. But in approach one is just a single function where we use the account.swap method to do the direct swaps. But in this case, we get more advanced control over each and every parameter of this swap code. So in the step 3, we inspect the swap details before execution. So we do some console logs to see what are the gas fees, what are the expected amount to receive, minimum receive amount, and the various other parameters. Next, we will finalize the swap using the account.swap method. So now that we are done with the inspection, now let's submit the swap to the chain. So in this, we would have two options. One would be the account.swap method, where we would pass this swap code parameters, and next would be the direct execute method. So I'll just paste the code over here. So here, the step 4 would be to execute the swap, and as mentioned, you would have two options over here. The option A would be to using the account.swap method with the pre-created swap code. So we have already created the swap code over here. We are not using the direct methods. We are already using the swap code that we created before. So In this, there would be a single parameter, which would be the swap code, which we have already defined before. So that's the difference between approach 1 and approach 2 usage of swap methods. Next, option B would be to using the swap codes execute method directly. So this swap code method has a direct execute method as well. So you can use that execute method as well. So it's up to you. You can use any of these two options. So I'm using the account.swap method over here because we are overall using the account.swap method in the script. But you can always go for option B as well. Next, we'll finish off this function by finishing off the cache block and doing some console logs. So now let's finish off this function. So after that, once the swap code is executed, we wait for the transaction confirmation. So we wait for a transaction receipt and we use the wait for transaction receipt method as we have used before. And in this, the parameter would be hash. And next we do some console logs like we have defined before as well. Some console logs like the block number, gas use, status, and the link as well. We can use this link to verify the transaction. And next we finish off the cache block as well. If there are any errors, just console.error so that we can use this error to debug the code. That's it. We are done with the main script over here. Now we have to just call the main function and see if this script works or not. We are done with the main swap script. Let's test it once and see if it works or not. Before that, make sure you have added the environment variables and also I've done some changes to package.json, adding the build and scripts. So now we are all ready. Let's see if the script works or not. So first of all, let's run npm run build. Everything was successful. This folder is created. Now let's run npm run start. Before that, I will just keep this console to make sure that we see all of the console logs. So as you can see, using this account planning to swap 0.004 BET for USDC, it checks the current allowance and boom, the swap was successful. Just a small note here: make sure your account is funded with enough ETH or WETH for this particular example, because as we are using WETH over here, I have made sure that this particular address has enough WETH so that there is no issues with insufficient liquidity or insufficient balance. So make sure your wallet has enough balance to execute the swap. And let's go through this and see how it works. So first of all, it makes sure that the allowance and everything is properly set up. Then it does the approving token allowance method where all of the console logs are done. It also gives us the approval transaction as well. After that, it uses the approach one all-in-one pattern that we have called in the main function, and it will create and execute the swap in one call. The swap was submitted successfully. Now let's see if this was actually successful or not. So we'll verify this ourselves once. So we'll just paste this over here. And yeah, this was successful. As you can see, multiple function calls were done over here, multiple contract calls were done over here to swap wrapped Ether to USDC. And we can check the balance over here as well. So as you can see, we were successfully able to swap USDC and the executed function was called properly as well. So yeah, that's it. We were able to swap BET to USDC with just a single function call. You can use any approaches that you like. You can use approach one if you want to have the swap functions done directly using the CDP SDK, or you can use the approach two as well if you want to have more advanced control over your swap transactions. And that's a wrap. We have successfully used the Coinbase Developer Platform to integrate a production-grade on-chain trading engine to a simple script. And remember, this is a foundational guide to get you started. You can expand on this in countless ways. Build a DeFi bot that automatically rebalances portfolio based on market conditions. Create an AI agent that can swap assets to pay for different on-chain services. Integrate a seamless in-app swap feature for your users so they never have to leave your DI. Develop automated treasury management tools for a DAO for your own project. This pattern is your gateway to building applications that can truly interact with the on-chain economy. To dive deeper into the technologies that we use, so to check out these official resources. Check out Swap API docs to know more about how the Swap API works. And you can check out docs.cdp.coinbase.com to know more about CDP tools and services. And check out CDP SDK GitHub as well to know more about how the CDP SDK library works. And you can check out heimlich.com for more such tutorials and guides on Web3. If this guide on using the Swap API was valuable, please give it a like and follow for more such advanced Web3 tutorials and share it with other builders. What's the first automation strategy or DF feature you would build with this? Let me know your ideas in the comments below. Thanks for building with me today. See you in the next one.